Alex Gibson. I'm Assistant Head of School
Hello.
at the School of Marketing at the College of Business in TU Dublin. And I would like to introduce our master's student, Sandeep Kannarasan, who's going to be leading and facilitating this discussion, where we're looking at a roundtable opportunity for AR and VR in India. We're really delighted in AR VR India to have started with this event. So thank you everybody for joining us. Sandeep, I will leave the stage to you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody is safe in this unprecedented times. This is like a roundtable discussion about the Indian AR/VR ecosystem and how it's growing and what's happening. And we have some of the esteemed people who are part of the AR/VR ecosystem. And we have Mr. Praful Mathur. He's the co-founder of two companies, Wassel and Quiplin. Both are into AR/VR space and they are doing wonderful things. And recently they got funding. And Praful Mathur, if you can introduce yourself, it will be great.
Hi, thanks, Sandeep, and hello everyone. Hi, Alex, and everybody who's watching. It's great meeting all of you, and thank you for inviting me here. Just a quick introduction. I'm Praful Mathur, and I co-founded two companies. So I've been a serial entrepreneur for the last 11 years now. Currently running two of my startups called one is Wassel, which is a product platform. It is a no-code platform to do it yourself, create your own web augmented reality under 60 seconds. You don't have to write a single line of code to do that. So that's Wassel. And the second company that I run, that has been going on for the last 11 years now, that's called Quiplin. And in Quiplin, we focus a lot on building applications based on augmented reality, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence. And we work for a number of clients like Facebook, Nissan, KDDI, Unilever, and so many others.
And tell me about your own business background. I think we're waiting for Sandeep, he's just disconnected, but tell me a little bit about how you got involved in augmented and virtual reality.
Okay. Alex, I started my first company, Quiplin, way back in 2010, which is when, my background is tech plus music. So I just combined the two, created an application which could just stream music and the whole suite of it, and that got a big success. And the largest streaming service in India now deploys our technology. That is where we started, and that's when I realized that there's a huge opportunity when it comes to deep tech, and especially what we can do with artificial intelligence, because a lot of data lakes were coming in. So we started working on that, and eventually what we also realized was, and why we particularly got into augmented reality, is that if you see 2006, 7, 8 was the last time when we had technology in shape of smartphones, which is a front-end technology that was coming in. That was the last revolution when it came to technology right in front of the user. Artificial intelligence is back-end. What about the front-end? And AR is what we realized is going to be the next display where everybody would be. And if we can kind of be a part of that and build something in that domain, is why we kind of got into.
So thank you very much, Sandeep. I don't know, we've had a few.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes. So I don't know if anybody wanted to get into this discussion, we have some places. So I think you just allow your to video, and then we can admit you. So just we would very much welcome a couple of. I can see one other person coming now. I think Ankur. I think did you just admit him there, Sandeep? So here we are. Perfect.
Yes.
Hi,
Ankur.
Hello, Ankur. Maybe you could tell us a little bit on yourself as well. We have quite a few people started to join in the session. I may have to leave for just a moment, Sandeep. But
yes,
Ankur,
yes.
please,
so I'll take it forward. Thank you, Alex. Hi, Ankur.
Hi, Sandeep. Hello, Alex.
Hi. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Great. Thank you.
I will rejoin. Okay.
Sure. So Ankur is joining from Sodexo India. He is the head of digital innovations, and he has worked on projects related to digital transformation, AR, VR. It will be nice to hear from Ankur about the brand involvement in AR, VR. Ankur, if you can explain us how Sodexo is taking the lead in terms of AR/VR innovation?
Sure, Sandeep. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And hi, Praful. And I heard you speaking. I was not joined, but I just joined as an audience. But yeah, good to hear from you. So yes, Sandeep, as you mentioned, from a brand perspective, we are right now, I would say, like the overall industry, we are still exploring various use cases of AR and VR. And there are certain use cases which are successful. There are certain use cases which we pivoted and piloted in the past, but not so successful, etc. Maybe I'll focus a couple of use cases that we have been doing with respect to VR. And I think VR for us is largely used for training purposes, right? So let's say and Sodexo works in different environments and different industries. Let's say there are certain requirements for sending some people to an environment which is essentially hazardous in situation, and then how do we train those people and do on the job training, so to say, without actually putting them in danger, right? So that's where VR comes really handy, to put in people in the situation virtually and ensure that they are ready to handle these kind of tricky situation really on site, and ensure that safety of the people is paramount, of course, and then ensure that they are equipped with all the know-how before we send them onto the field, right? So, and that has been really helpful, and that has helped us reduce the number of accidents that we can expect at a site, etc. And then, of course, has increased the overall serviceability for the clients, etc. So I think VR has really helped us in that way.
So, and this is like a global thing, or was that specific to India, or was there anything that was specific to India that you have to modify in terms of the tech and the user experience?
So largely, I will say the initiative has been driven globally, and with each country there are adaptation, because there are very local requirement in terms of what kind of training that we need to provide, or what kind of environment that we need to create. So there was some adaptation on that front, but of course there are certain localizations, especially in India. Language localization is actually the key. So we did some localization exercise and then make it suitable for the local audience, to be able to get trained and fully equipped there.
Okay, so adding to the globalization and localization part, Praful, your company has worked with global brands like Nissan and JCB, Facebook, etc. So how would you look at the brands in terms of using AR, VR? Do they pick up the global campaign of sorts and then put it in India, or do they really try to make it like localized version of the campaigns and things they want to do in India?
Sandeep, that's a great question, and I will have a two-pronged answer to that. One, so you can divide it into one, the consumption of the technology, and second, the innovation of the technology. One is the cause, the second is the effect. So first, coming to the consumption in India, what we are witnessing, especially for the last 3 years, is that a large Indian brand have now kind of started. So they started exploring about 3 years ago. They started exploring in terms of what they can do with augmented reality, virtual reality, and that was a time when they were following the global cues. Their US counterpart had did something, and they wanted to replicate it here. But now, for an example, there's this company which has an assembly line of 52 substations, and they asked us to convert all those substations trainings, the assembly line training, into virtual reality, and that from here has gone to the global factories that they have. So this is now from India to the world. On the consumption part, it is really picking up for the last 3 years now, which comes to the second part, which is the innovation part. Because there's a cause, things are happening in India. There's a lot of innovation happening in India as well when it comes to deep tech. If you see the last 20-25 years of Indian IT, we've always been application developers. A Microsoft would create a .NET and we'll create applications on it. Unity will create a 3D engine, we'll create applications on it. for the last 2.5, 3 years, you would see that we are creating infrastructure to create deep tech. I can take our example. So Wassel is a platform to create augmented reality. It's not an application, it's a platform to create augmented reality. We let people use our infrastructure to create their own applications. And why are Indians thinking of this today? Because we know that there is a domestic market for it today. I don't really have the only option of going to the US, pitching my product there. It doesn't happen. So this will be a product which we'll take from India to the world, which is where it has really it has been a paradigm shift. It,
Okay,
that's my
okay,
take.
okay. So if you can tell a couple of examples, the work that you have done with these global brands for India.
Sure, certainly. Again, I'll divide them into augmented reality and virtual reality, both different use cases. So in India, we've created applications. So for, let's say, on Wassel, we've created marketing-based campaigns for various large brands. There are some brands of the likes of Hindustan Unilever, which are using Wassel now to create their augmented reality. And because we had started focusing on web-based AR for a long time, that has kind of paid a lot of dividend to us. A lot of these marketing activities, they were in the earlier days when it was only native AR, these marketing campaigns were not picking up. Why? Because only 2 out of 100 people, in fact, lesser than that, would actually download an application to see a marketing campaign, right? They could do it for gain, but not for a marketing campaign, which is where Wassel Web AR has kind of come out really well. You don't have to download an application. You scan a QR code or tap on a link, and it opens your browser, and you see augmented reality there. So that has been used by a lot of Indian companies, so far. So that's in the augmented reality realm. On the virtual reality side of things, one, I already told you a use case wherein we converted this whole 52 substation assembly line into virtual reality based trainings. Why does it help? This assembly line has laborers who have a lot of attrition. Okay, they have to keep hiring laborers for this assembly line, and every 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months, these people leave, so they have to keep hiring. Now, this increases hiring costs, training costs, and also the assembly has a lot of fatalities. If people are not trained well, there will be fatalities. So it's a difficult situation, right? So if you have virtual reality based trainings on this, you can kind of reduce those fatalities to a big extent, because people are investing a lot of time on training by themselves. There's no trainers requirement there. They can just take the trainings, take the test on virtual reality machines, and they're good to go. In fact, we are now even able to identify which a person is fit for which of these 52 substations and deploy them there. So that's one. For the last 2 years, and especially after this COVID pandemic started last year, we see a lot of take up on our virtual reality meetings platform. So we have our own meetings platform that we've developed in Queplin. And a lot of blue chip companies in India, a lot of big four consulting companies use our platform to handle their sales meetings. In fact, the budget for this actually does not come out of any project for them. It comes out of the innovation fund that they have. All of these big companies have now started to have innovation funds which are focusing on deep tech. Anybody who wants to get into this space, there are budgets lying around with big companies in India who would want to focus on this. That way, I see a lot of take up both in AR and VR.
Can I just come in here?
That's it. Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, just want to say, really great to see the work that you're doing in Wassel. It's obviously world-class standard, which is great. I'm curious, as an educator, and Sandeep is one of our great students. He's doing great work in creative digital media. He's more a UX, I think he'd agree himself, than a developer in this space. But I'm curious about what's happening in the pipeline of educating people for this exciting industry, both from the developer side, from UX, even from my own perspective, business and the technology interface. I mean, that's a question for both of you, just in terms of what's happening in India in that regard.
Okay, that's for me or for Ankur?
Well, I think for both, but maybe for both. But probably you can start first, please. Yeah.
Okay. So Alex, if you see publishing as an industry, and I mean education-based publishing, has been witnessing a lot of change for the last few years. Okay. And the print-based education publishing has been going down for some time, right? Everything is being digitized. So everybody wants to do something. So the other day, I was talking to a publishing house in India, and they are one of the largest. And they actually did an experiment with augmented reality about 5 years ago. So you can imagine now, publishing houses in India are very traditional approach based, traditionally driven companies. They're not very tech savvy. They have been printing books, and that is what they like. But for them to be experimenting with AR 5 years ago is a huge leap. Now, why their experiment did not kind of see those results? Again, they were doing it on native augmented reality. So that has been a big challenge for them. Now, and again, there are some work that is better left to the experts. If you kind of try and do things yourself, then you're definitely gonna run into challenges. So that's my point being that publishing industry, especially in education, will now be taking up AR, VR, AI-based approaches because newer and newer displays to the students have to be given. How do you keep your students engaged? When I was a kid, it was very easy to educate me. You just had to get me to a classroom, and I will sit down and study.
Yeah, no, I suppose that's really interesting, and I agree with you. And we've been involved in initiatives here in my university around, and we're just beginning at the very early stages of this. But also, I'm interested in the actual professional training of people for this sector, both in terms of, have you, for example, developing master's level or undergraduate programs around augmented and virtual reality, or is it still generally within the area of games development that those graduates are coming from? Ankur, maybe I can ask you, I don't know if you want to comment on that, or what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, Alex, it's really early days, and we see only a handful of the institutes which are highly focused on technology education. I can think of one example in India. There is IIIT Hyderabad. There is an institute in India which is one of the best institute in the country, who has I don't think they've started the specialization on the AR VR, but they are running certain incubation programs for the startups who are coming out of the institute and otherwise in the AR and VR domain in collaboration with companies like Facebook, because companies like Facebook are also investing a lot in the technology that they want to promote as a platform for developers to use the technology. I think that sort of is a catalyst. Platform companies like Quaplin, as Praful mentioned, and of course the large companies like Facebook and Google. And today, the education institute by themselves are not coming out with various programs focused on AR and VR. Yes, gaming has been the domain which is sort of churning a professionals who are equipped with the required skills for being a developer in this domain. But I have personally not come across a lot of specialized AR and VR programs in these universities.
Yeah.
Most of the work that is happening is in collaboration with the large platform companies, large or medium or platform companies who are interested in developing professionals and students to be able to use their platform to churn the platforms.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point there about collaboration with industry around courses, and I know that my university are starting that with who are our main sponsor of the event, the TU Dublin Open Labs. They have incubation and accelerator type of initiatives working with startups in this space. So I agree entirely. So listen, I'm going to finish my contribution because it's really Sandeep's show, and I know he has a few other questions he wants to go through. And we have quite a few people watching. So if somebody's watching and they want to join, I'm going to leave because I'm going to go back to the other session. I'll try and join you. You can just ask to share a video, and if you feel confident or want to participate, we would love that. So just join the conversation. Yeah, but there's quite a few people watching as well, so they're all very welcome. Sure. All of them. Yeah. So continue on, Sandeep. I'm going to leave momentarily. Yeah, thank you. You're doing great.
Oh, job. Thank you, Alex. Like great questions. So with regards to the use cases that both Praful and Ankur had mentioned, like I see it in two different parallels that is running. One is like the extreme consumer facing, and other one is industry. Industry is like a global phenomena in terms of training, where AR and VR mostly is used, and that's what is happening in India. But in terms of consumer front, when it comes to retail and marketing, where is the curve? Are we still overwhelmed with the new technology and that companies are trying to implement, or have we passed that curve in terms of, okay, it's AR and VR is not something that's on top of the shelf and it's just there as a showcase, or is it like something into the DNA of the companies who are trying to really push this technology way forward? Ankur, you can start from your company and how it's moving forward in this.
Sure, sure. So as you mentioned, Sandeep, a lot of use cases that are emerging, and it depends on which industry maybe you are in. From Sodexo's point of view, large part of the use cases are currently focused towards B2B use cases rather than B2C use cases, more internally. And maybe I'll touch a very quick use case, which is not a consumer use case, that we do with AR is heavy equipment maintenance, right? So to maintain heavy equipment, we used to employ specialized people in each city, but now with the help of AR, a semi-skilled person is able to perform that same activity if a skilled person is able to guide them remotely using the AR glasses. Okay, so these are the kind of use cases, and why these kind of use cases are emerging very fast is because companies are able to see a very direct and clear ROI attached to these use cases, right? And on the other hand, I'll jump onto the question that you have asked in terms of the consumer facing use cases. Yes, these use cases are emerging, but not at a very high speed, because these are engagement use cases mostly, and may not be revenue drivers for a lot of companies. And these are the engagement drivers for the companies when it comes to B2C. And of course, B2B, B2C revenue is also happening. So I'll talk about one company in India. Its name is BigBasket. BigBasket is a large retailer in India. It is a large grocery retailer. BigBasket has launched, in collaboration with another company, has launched an app with a startup. Maybe Praful would know, Purpule. It's an app. Basically, you create a virtual retail shop, that a person can, sitting in home, can actually shop in an aisle, right? So you wear the glasses and just click on the product that you want to shop, and everything is added in your basket, and then it is automatically checked out, and it is shipped to your homes, right? So
Okay.
So those kind of revenue driving use cases are also emerging, but those are far and few.
Okay.
Most B2C use cases are still at a stage of engagement, and hence, the companies are still trying to justify the ROIs attached to it. So that will be my view.
Oh, great.
See, you can look at it from another angle as well. While I completely agree with Ankur there. See, AR will be a conduit towards taking people towards virtual reality. So people will learn how to get into immersive technologies through AR and then go to virtual reality. VR definitely is not a consumer-driven technology today. Rather, be it your virtual reality headsets or through your cardboard ecosystems, but augmented reality is, and we are at a stage. If you kind of want to find analogy to this, we are at a stage where website development was back in the day when you had to create a simple website on Java and .NET. Okay, there were very few people who could create a website at that time, but then people like Wix came in, and creating a website was just a click of a button, and you could not write any line of code and create a website, which is when website development took off. That was the hockey stick curve for the whole thing, which is where we are when it comes to augmented reality right now. And the more platforms we have which make it easy for people to develop AR, the faster the ecosystem will grow.
Perfect. So, adding on to this question, so the biggest barrier globally for this technology is the network, and India, we have reached a stage where at least that is not a problem. That is pressing, thanks to networks like Jio, that has pushed the whole 4G and the network speed. So is that like a driver for the consumer facing use cases where companies can really think about, okay, we can implement these technologies in like in a larger way, and people like they don't have to worry about, okay, there is a network issue and device problems that can be like that can crash the system, or like that can actually go, that can black out. So how is that uh, press like that push the overall technology in terms of people thinking about using AR and VR in India?
That's a definite catalyst. All of the factors have to come together at one point in time for a technology to kind of become mainstream. The same thing happened with smartphones way back in 2008 when your GPS was coming in, your payments on mobile were coming in, your 3Gs were coming in at that time. Everything coming together at that time, which created this whole smartphone ecosystem. The same thing will with AR, VR, when your 5Gs will be here, new platforms to develop AR, VR are here, location-based technologies on VR and AR are here, and which is what will create a very successful ecosystem.
And Ankit, your view?
Yeah, I think definitely network is a catalyst, and as you mentioned, India so far, reached at a level that is not the primary concern for the adoption of the AR and VR technologies. I would say hardware somewhere still remains in that list of concerns.
Okay.
And then based on our technology usage and the hardware that is that is available in the market is not probably the best in class, of course, because in countries like India, cost becomes a very big factor of consideration, and what you may call a stable hardware that is required to run a seamless AR VR experience would probably cost a lot in India, right? So I'll give you an example. We were working with a startup who was providing all the technology equipments for internal training of VR related technologies, and there are two options that we have to choose from. Either have a very lightweight hardware attached to probably very heavy duty laptops, because we need portable equipments, and these laptops are probably the gaming laptops which are able to render the high quality images to be able to deliver that seamless experience. And when that kind of system was required, we physically had to ship this hardware if we have to go from one training site to another training site, instead of just probably shipping one small piece of hardware, which will help adopt a lot of locations for us to use that training material, right? So that is still not happening now. More portable hardware is being made available, but I think the cost that is associated with that hardware is still not reach at a level where companies can easily procure and distribute and ask their people to make full use of it without any concerns about ROI. So I think there is still some travel to go in terms of the pricing normalization, so to say, but network is probably not the concern anymore as a primary concern.
That's great. So yeah, we are running out of time. The last question for both of you is, so 5 years from now, where will India be in terms of AR and VR, the immersive tech, and what you think are the three industries that is going to be the driver, top three industries, apart from gaming? Gaming definitely is a large chunk of it. So next to gaming, top three industries. So Praful, you can start.
See, I believe in the next 5 years, starting already from now, we would be shipping infrastructure from India to the world. We'll be shipping infrastructure to create augmented reality and virtual reality, not only consume infra from outside. That's one. And if you ask me, the industries, see number of them, starting from marketing and advertising. That's a space which is the fastest to take up technology. That's one. Education, healthcare, automotive, manufacturing. These are going to be some very large industries accompanied by e-commerce as well.
Okay. Yeah. Ankur, to you.
Yeah, I think I would share Praful's view on that. I think in India we are moving at a very fast pace, and we will be able to. I would say at this point of time we are still in a catching up mode on a lot of aspects, but the speed at which we are building capabilities in India, both from manufacturing point of view and developing our own platforms to create and consume content on AR and VR. I think we will definitely be probably one of the top countries to be able to bring to the world the cutting edge technologies in this domain. In terms of top three industry drivers, I would say for me, I would definitely look at number one as healthcare, number two probably education, and number three retail. These are the three, and then applications can be many. The applications could be marketing and advertisement. Application could be trainings, but these are the industry that probably will become the primary consumers of AR and VR technologies, according to me.
Okay, that's nice. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ankur. Thank you, Praful. This was a great conversation. I hope people, the audience, got a lot of insights from your own experience and the knowledge that you have shared. It was a pleasure talking to you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Sandeep.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thanks, Ankur.